All right, what's going on, guys? I'm Mike, and this is the Prepared Citizen. And for today's topic, we're going to be going over the top 2 firearms that I think is important for SHTF. Let's jump right into it. So, I know the typical answer that most people who watch these type of videos, SHTF meaning if shiznit hits the fan, shit hits the fan, is people usually say what a Glock 19, Glock 17, and an AR-15. That's always a common answer. But I'm going to be making a case, and I'm not saying that's a wrong answer. Those are definitely solid. It's kind of like everybody's go-to, at least on the internet, because the Glock 19 and 17 are some of the 2 most popular handguns in the U.S. Parts are available, ammunition for a 9mm is available, and also the AR-15, America's rifle. No, it doesn't stand for that, but it essentially is America's rifle. Parts are in abundance, ammunition's available, and that's just what Americans love. That's our cup of tea, it's our bread and butter. It's an AR-15 and a Glock 19. But that's pretty basic. And in my book, I just want to kind of shed some light on realistic or just other SHTF options. And not just options, but mindsets, All right, you gotta figure shit really has to hit the fan in order for you to go full over, AR-15, walking the streets, kicking down doors. And I just feel like it just draws too much attention. I've brought this up previously in other videos, but I'm making a case for 2 9mm, and not necessarily 2 9mm pistols, but a 9mm full-size handgun. For me, that would be my Staccato P. And then a PDW. So this would be a B&T TP9. This is SBR. But the reason I'm saying these, you're gonna be like, "Whoa, Mr. Prepared Citizen, what about something more powerful? Like a shotgun or a 5.56? It's not going to be able to defeat armor and so on and so forth." But you also have to think about it as well. What are the realistic SHTF scenarios, right? You got to think about it. What is one that we've all lived through? And that's COVID. That's the riots they had when all that stuff was going on in 2020. I don't know if you guys remember that. But I've preached this before in the past, and I stick to it when I say, do not underestimate the power of having something super concealable, right? And that's where the PDW comes into play over an AR-15. To have something this small and discreet that you can put underneath your coat and nobody has to know about it is incredible. And then having your handgun, which is going to be most likely your primary, it's huge, A full-size handgun in particular, chambered in 9mm, for me this is Staccato P. I like the reliability. I like the way it shoots fast, flat, and yeah, that's just my go-to personally. You could do a Glock 19 in this scenario, whatever the case may be, but I'm more so pushing the case for a PCC and a pistol, or a PDW and a pistol. Point being, having something small and discreet. Of course I would love to have my rifle, right here I have my SIG MCX Virtus. This thing is awesome. I'm possibly going to be SBR in this as well, but it's just night and day. Look at the difference. These are both, well, this isn't a pistol no more, but this is it's night and day. It's like almost 3 times. This is the guy she tells you not to worry about. But it's just, for me to realistically roll around with this, especially if I got a suppressor for it, because I am going to be suppressing this as well. It's just, I don't know. I don't really see the need for it. Or not the need. Of course, it's awesome. I would love to have to carry that. But like a situation where that's going to rise, I just feel like it's going to raise too many flags, too many people. And even if you tried to conceal it and you had it in, let's say, a book bag, like that's still going to be a big bag that you're carrying around. Having something small, a little sling bag, I put it in my EDC video of having this. This is what I carry daily. Everywhere I go, this goes with me. And having that is huge. This is still a project, all right? So note that there's no sights on this. This whole ordeal is a process. A little side tangent here. From having to Form 1 it, waiting for the tax stamp, having to source the foregrip, source the stock. Now I'm gonna have to source a suppressor, the wait time for that, and then getting, everything else associated with it, blah, blah, blah. Project Emerald or Project Hulk, I'm still trying to figure out a cool, badass green name. If you have one, put it down below. But just in general, having a PCC or particularly a PDW daily that you can ride underneath the radar, right? Think about Hurricane Katrina. Man, you guys can go on YouTube, Google right now and look up Hurricane Katrina. They were disarming legal, law-abiding citizens. They were evacuating their houses. They had the National Guard go door to door and confiscate people's weapons, people's self-defense pistols, firearms, rifles, shotguns, you name it. They were gone. Most people didn't get them back. They weren't writing receipts like, oh, we're going to give you back your stuff. So it's like you have to really think about these scenarios and how it's going to apply to you. And that's why I make the case for a 9mm. The round is available, it's plentiful. Hell, even having just a pistol, I'm not saying that, but having the gun that you have on you is going to be the one that's going to save your ass if something were to happen. And that's where the pistol comes into play. That's why I carry this Staccato P every day. This is my T-Rex sidecar. I carry it in there. This is just for the video. I have the 20 round magazine in it, but I usually have the 17 flush fit with the 20 round on the side. And a full-size pistol, you can go to war with it, you can conceal it, you can use it as a nightstand gun for home defense, you could train with it, all of it, courses, you name it, it does it all. Competition, it's just so well-versed as kind of like a jack of all trades. I guess you could say a master of none, but essentially like it just fills in many roles. And that's why I really feel like having that is, no matter what, going to be your number one. That's your number one SHTF. Shit hits the fan, having that pistol. And again, Hurricane Katrina, of course, is going to be checking people. But the reality is, if you just have this on you, I'm not guaranteeing this. But for example, if they're not patting down people and you just have a light jacket with your PDW on you and your pistol on your waist and you're with your kids and your family, you might just going to fly underneath the radar, especially if you're holding your kid and you're going through whatever the case may be. And it sucks to have to think like that when it comes to our country and their servicemen, like as far as the military, the National Guard, that those could be your biggest enemy in a grid down scenario, when it comes to that level of extreme. But what they are going to do is, this is way harder to hide. If you're going to, I'm not going to walk around like, oh, I'm trying to evacuate. And they're going to take this like that. That's just the reality of it. And don't get me wrong, if you're a big baller and you can afford to have absolute multiples of each thing, especially the expensive ones, of course you can get a whole bunch of cheap stuff, some PSAs or, some poverty ponies, whatever the case may be, which may not even be a bad route, having a whole bunch of throwaways, essentially throwaways for that. But that's where the PDW really shines, being able to have something small and discreet. And this is just like the pistol, where it fits multiple roles. This is an insurance policy that you keep in your bag for other scenarios. Maybe you're in maybe you're in an area where there's not going to be any hurricanes or anything of the sort, where you don't have to essentially worry about a natural disaster, but more so riots, so on and so forth. This is going to fit that role of an emergency policy, like a shit hits the fan insurance policy, where you have this just in case. Your pistol is going to be the main go-to, but if you need something else with more points of contact that you can kind of pull out in a pinch, and then you're going to be good to go. And that's why I definitely think the PDW, 30 rounds available, on tap. It's something small and discreet. You can get flush fit magazines, and not necessarily just the TP9, but anything that you can kind of put in there, like the CMMG Banshee. You can do H&K SP5K or MP5K, like a small AR9. There's some 300 blackouts. I don't even think there's a 300 blackout, honestly. That might be this small. A SIG, P320, not the pistol, but the chassis system, Flux Raiders. Those are going to be really good to kind of fit this role as well. Especially if you put a flashlight, you have a suppressor that you can attach to it. Maybe not with the 320, because that's kind of a pain in the ass, to suppress. But something to fill those roles. And I think that's where these shine for shit hits the fan. And the idea is you're not going to be gunfighting, right? This is just a platform that you can use that's going to have more points of contact that's going to aid you in your accuracy, and it's going to be more of a force multiplier than just your handgun, because it's not going to give you more firepower ballistically, but it's going to give you those added benefits of almost having it's a rifle. You know, it's going to have those benefits of that, and that's where this truly shines, especially in your day-to-day realistic scenarios of what could happen. Because again, what you have on you is what you're going to use. Some people do it. Some people carry a gun, AR-15 on them every day, or in their backpack, and they roll around. You know what I'm saying? But are you realistically going to do that every day? And most of the time, the answer is going to be no. But this, I know, because I do. Every day, everywhere I go. I carry a very small bag, has a sling in it, tourniquet, blah, blah, blah. It has all my EDC, regular everyday items in it. And I have a video about it, and that's what I carry faithfully every single day. I always have a firearm with me on my waist, because having it in a bag is nice, but I don't really believe in having a bag gun as your sole source of self-defense, because again, it's a bag. A bad guy's not going to give you time to go in the bag and get it. Again, it's more of an insurance policy to either A, get back home, or just have something else that's going to be discreet if you do get, like, you know, let's go into our LARPing fantasy of the car breaking down, and you're in a bad part of town, and you got to have that extra firepower to fight off the Chicagoans. That's horrible. I'm just kidding. But to fight off all the Glock switches. But in all seriousness, when you start thinking of these LARPing scenarios, LARP, this is where that comes into factor. Having something small, having something discreet, a little backpack or no backpack at all. Throw that bad boy on there, throw a tourniquet in your pocket and hit the road. Because at the end of the day, this is getting me back to my family. This is going to serve that role to get back home. And it's also going to be an amazing home defense. I think that this is probably this. And I would say an SBR in 300 Blackout are probably going to be like the two top contenders. Oh, I take that back. I think the top three would probably be a pistol with the flashlight for home defense, a PDW, a 9mm, depending if you have kids. I think that would be a really good route. Plenty of rounds, points of contact, and then a 300 Blackout suppress for the house. That's going to just be the ballistic advantage over all of this, except for the 5.56, because 5.56 is king. That's definitely going to be where it's at. So yeah, that's my point, because I just don't want to give the plain Jane answer of like a Glock 19 and an AR-15, because it's just been so played out. And I'm not saying that's not a bad, like if shit really hit the fan, Walking Dead, zombie apocalypse, Mad Max style, yeah, of course, a Glock, they're reliable, parts are available, but you can still make it work with what you shoot best. I'm a strong believer of carrying what you shoot the best and what you feel comfortable carrying, and carrying the biggest firearm that you feel comfortable carrying and can actually get away with carrying. Not like it's just a Desert Eagle or something. Or if it's a Desert Eagle, I guess, who am I to judge? But preferably something a 9mm full size that's comfortable and all of it. I went with Staccato P. That's my choice. You might have something different. It might be a Smith & Wesson or a Walther or a Beretta or a H&K, what is that, P30 or the USP, those are badass. A SIG 226, yada, yada, yada. Insert something badass there. This is what I chose. Results may vary, but essentially the idea of this is the 9mm combo for SHTF, because you're not going to be kicking down doors. Maybe you are, but even then you can still do a lot with this. This is still going to be awesome and can still put food on the table. Well, maybe you could hunt. Yeah, I guess you could hunt with it. But just in general, for that LARPing fantasy of like the Walking Dead, zombies and stuff like that, are you going to be essentially under gun when you do come across somebody with a rifle? Possibly. Aim, train, aim for the head. I mean, I'm just saying. But that's where that comes in. But if it's truly going to be at that point, obviously having an AR-15 or something chambered in 5.56 or 300 Black is going to be essential, But top two, everyday, realistic, yeah, this is probably it, In normal times, home defense, probably the 5.56 11.5-inch barrel, 10.3 or whatever for home defense is awesome. But for SHTF or WROL or Teotihuacan, which WROL is without rule of law, for people who don't know, and then Teotihuacan is the end of the world as we know it. Yeah, I think these definitely make a strong case for being big contenders and flying underneath that radar of inconspicuosity. I don't even know if that's a word. Just being inconspicuous, being a gray man, you know? Because I'm a strong believer of that because I live that life. I do it every day where I go and wherever I go. And that's just how I roll, man. And it's not just because I'm like, oh, you're just a paranoid LARPer or what's wrong and blah, blah. Like, no, it's just like, again, I have family. We all have families. We have stuff to live for. We have kids. We have wives. Maybe you don't. And you have things to live for in general. And this is my insurance policies, you know? But again, without proper training, no matter what you have, it just won't work. And that's the truth. If you're not going out there and you practice your pistol skills or shooting with your rifle, or for that matter, working out, lifting weights, to doing cardio, eating right, keeping up with your health. Because I've seen so many people like, yeah, bro, you know, but you don't even have optics, or you can't even do this, or you're too chubby, or just in general, not too chubby, you blah, blah, blah. You know, like these guys don't even work out or do anything to their health. You know, like you have to still have a healthy mindset. And honestly, like I still do jujitsu and Muay Thai outside of this. So this is just like another, there's levels to, this is a rant. I'm definitely autism hard, right? Autism is real at this moment, but there's definitely levels to preparedness, you know, from having the skills to be able to evade, from your verbal, like just talk it out. All right, man, whatever. You can argue with somebody. All right, dude, you're a tough guy. I get it. Whatever. Have a good day. Just walk on. Most of the time, you're never going to see these people again anyway. You shouldn't always have to resort to violence. To being in an SHTF scenario, and if you don't, like an active shooter, and if you can just get your family out of there, that's a win. Getting your family out of a dangerous zone is a win. But having the skills to be able to use something like this, for one, having it on you, training with it, so when that, if the need does arise, you know how to handle it and you are prepared as a prepared citizen, it's going to go a long way. But then even if you don't have this, being able to have grappling skills or striking skills or cardio or strength to be able to lift up your wife or your kids and get them out of the scenario is going to be huge. So don't neglect the training, don't neglect your diet, don't neglect cardio, weights. It's all a factor. You don't have to be the biggest guy in the gym. I know I'm not. You don't have to be the fastest dude. You don't have to be nothing, but you definitely should be taking care of yourself, your health, and working this whole SHTF mindset for being prepared. Because I've said it before in a previous video, there's different levels of SHTF for everybody. It could be you losing your job, you can get hurt, having finances put to the side for those scenarios. Yeah, it could be a whole, there might just be fires in your town or in your city, like in California or wherever those states are, where there's just like wildfires and like, you know, just craziness. Yeah, so you really have to consider what could be a potential risk or factor for you and to just kind of prepare around that. That way, if the need ever were to arise for it, you're not caught with your pants down and you're prepared for it. But yeah, this is my take. 9mm for the win. Am I saying this is going to be my absolute go-to? I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just making a case for it, for the 9mm here. Because you can also say a 22 and a bolt action. You could say a 22 and a shotgun, a pistol and a shotgun, a pistol and a long gun, whatever the case. There's so many different ones. But the one I'm focusing on this video is 9mm. So yeah, if you guys like the video, make sure you actually press that like button. Means it's free. It doesn't cost you $1. You just hit that like. Leave a comment down below what your 2 SHTF guns would be. A knight's armament and a grenade launcher or whatever it's going to be. And I think that's all I got for you guys. But at the end of the day, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm Mike Shane, or I'm Mike. This is the Prepared Citizen, and I'm out of here.